Thanks for staying with us. Welcome back. You're watching Daybreak, and with me in studio this morning on my far right is Professor Peter Kagwanya, the Chief Executive Officer of the Africa Policy Institute. Good morning, Prof.
Good morning, Ayub.
On Sunday, you downed the pen.
Yes. I thought that sometimes it's good to change gears.
Yeah.
Because some of the things that I am going to do are going to maybe verge closer to the conflict of interest with my other client. So I thought it is good to bow out.
Yeah.
But as I said, the pen is still has a lot of ink.
That is after how many years of...
And that was 12 years, 4 months. That's writing every Sunday.
Yeah.
And in those 12 years, I only missed 3 Sundays. Yeah. I didn't have a lot of space to explain because there were a lot of events in that thing which I couldn't.
Dr. Kenneth Ombongi also is with us. He is the Associate Dean, the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences at the University of Nairobi. Also historian. Dr. good morning.
Morning, Ayub.
Appreciated.
Yeah,
Ahmed Rashid
good to be here.
Ahmed Rashid commented on diplomacy and foreign policy. Also joins us here on the broadcast this morning. Gentlemen, this has been an eventful year, given what happened. And to begin with you, Dr. Ombongi, and this was you some 6 hours earlier. True, you said 2025, the year tested Kenyans harshly, but the nation answered through endurance in politics, resilience in economics, and dignity in the social life. Not a year of triumph, but a year of proof that the Kenyan soil, though wounded, the Kenyan soul, though wounded, has not surrendered.
Yeah. Oh, well, this has been an extremely fascinating year in the country. A lot of trials, and of course there are, although not many, but some triumphs as a nation. Maybe let me begin with the trials. The greatest of them all is that we lost quite a number of our luminaries in politics, in the academy, and in many other circles. We lost people who we had a lot of hope in. Among the political leaders, of course, every Kenyan will think of the maverick, legendary former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, who probably died at a time when very few expected him to go. And probably at that time, people were beginning to think that finally, perhaps his time had come to lead this country. Of course, we lost other leaders. One of them I can remember is the politician from Western Kenya, Njendi, Honorable Njendi. Malulu Njendi. Malulu was actually a personal friend. We worked together in his days as a registrar academics at the Catholic University. That's a part of Njendi that many people did not know. At the time, I was a young lecturer, very young lecturer at the Department of History at the Catholic University of Eastern Africa, and he was our registrar. And in the academy, very sad. We lost legends. Professor Ngugi wa Thiong'o, one of the leading Kenyans in the world of the academy. We lost, and much more recently, we lost Meja Mwangi. I don't know whether you read some of his books in your younger days. But Meja Mwangi was one of our literary giants, not of course at the level of Ngugi, but also very well renowned. The Tepsian Mulwa, who was with us in the University of Nairobi. So that it's been a heavy year. Also at a very personal level, very sadly, I lost my first teacher, my cheerleader, the woman who made me, my mother. I buried her on the 22nd of August this year. So it's just been sad for the nation, but also it has been sad at our level as a family. You know, but again, there is always hope and optimism. In the side of the triumphs, you know, it was a year for our marathoners. I don't know whether you realize that the men and the women of the trucks in Kenya, many of them did very well this year.
New York Marathon.
New York Marathon and many other marathons, and they have turned out to be our foremost diplomats. In fact, they have raised the Kenyan flag in areas and in ways even our foremost diplomats have not achieved that. And it's one time when all Kenyans come together, although majority of our runners come from the North Rift, but at the time they raised the Kenyan flag in those international fora, okay, everybody feels Kenyan.
Thank you.
I mean, who doesn't know Eliud Kipchoge? Who doesn't know the young girl who is now making it big in athletics? She's called Kipyegon, Faith Kipyegon, and many others. Okay. But also, most importantly, Ayub, you know, Kenya has a characteristic of moving too close to the abyss, and yet seeming to be very far from it. We are almost tipping over. If you look at last year, when our young people were in the streets and all that, we thought, oh, we have lost it. But then here we are. But also, we are on the third day on our journey to be an African Singapore.
Correct. We'll discuss
how it will unfold. I don't know.
Okay. We'll talk much more about Singapore, and the questions abound on what happens. Yes, Ahmed. Well, relatively uneventful year.
Well, you know, it's not individuals who make history. It is social formations that make history. Individuals may influence its direction, but it is historical movements that make history. And one of the historical movements we have in Africa today is the competing dilemma of the rise of authoritarianism in this continent. This is a very, very, very serious problem in our continent. And on the other side is the second turning point from the first calls for independence from this country, where a new generation that has been influenced by multiple factors, who have decided that they're going to bring a new political economy to our continent. You know, there was a coup in the Gulf of Guinea again. Yeah. And the ECOWAS, which seems to be now a tool of the empire, and particularly the state of Nigeria, where I believe there's also going to be another military coup. There's no way that the same formations that are working in that area are not going to affect Nigeria. Nigeria has got the highest amount of coups in the world. I mean, I think it's just better than some one or two South American countries. So I think that there's three competing themes. One is the rise of authoritarianism. One is the rise of the Gen Z, and the way in which we want change of government and change of our political economy. We in Kenya have decided that we're going to do something called constitutional government, and that we're going to go through a process to remove people from office, and we're not going to use military arms. Much of the people in West Africa and in the Gulf of Guinea have decided otherwise. I think they're very right, because once you elect a person who's supposed to provide healthcare, free education, stimulate the economy, and all they do is just sit at the chair and loot and get these narco states going, then it's a problem. You know, they're in Guinea-Bissau. You know, the president of Guinea-Bissau has visited this country 3 times. You know why he's visiting it? Because it is the largest entrepot of cocaine in Africa, which goes to Spain. And you know, here in Mombasa, we are a drug-dealing nation. And I'm not saying that this is something that's not in the statistics. During the operation to return the pirates, you know, the Somalis who are being called pirates and who I think are heroes, the nationalist heroes who are protecting their seas from Chinese trawlers. So the Australian ships found hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars worth of heroin coming through Mombasa. This is not something that I'm alleging, it's in the public record. So I think that it is very important for us to understand the historical trajectory in Africa, and that there is fundamental change that is coming, that the young people have decided that they do not want to have business as usual, and that 2026 is going to become the year of the Gen Zs. There are many people in this country saying, oh, they're not registering, or they are not part of the political process. I think they are plotting something more than elections. These kids are not joking, and we really hope that they go to the ballot, because that's what we want. Finally, I think that we ought to be very careful about our region. Just last week in in northern Somalia, which is called Somaliland, the new president, Abdurrahman Ero, who happens to come from the same clan that I come from, shot people in a place called Borame. About 10 to 15 young people, these young people I'm talking about, died because of their feelings about how and where they want to go. So I think that authoritarianism is rising, and that authoritarianism is the greatest danger that we have in our country.
Okay. And Prof, you argued on this broadcast in our previous engagements that better a dictatorship that provides healthcare, education, and infrastructure that works than a democracy that does not work and which creates oligarchy around power, where those who orbit around the center of power are selfish to the extent that it produces a tiny minority who are ultra-rich and produces the majority extremely poor, in the context of what the Oxfam report said about Kenya, for instance.
Well, I know my friend Hashi will have an exceptional view, but I said our analysis was based on scientific studies,
and it happened.
And you have 4 scenarios where you have authoritarianism with no prosperity. You have authoritarianism with prosperity. On the other hand, we have, on the other hand, democracy
with zero,
with prosperity, which is the ideal situation, if you want to look at it. And we have democracy with poverty, no prosperity. Now, the Kenyan situation now is democracy with poverty, democracy without prosperity. That's it. And that's why we have all these, faith-oriented political sloganeering that touch the plane and it will be yours.
Millenarianism.
Touch Singapore and you become one. Touch this and you become this. So in short, those are the scenarios. And now that we are talking about 2025 and we are looking at 2026 and 2027 into the future, obviously the key developments that one wants to highlight, and I agree 100% with Hashi. It's not about the individuals, it's about the durée, the events, the long-term events that are happening. And one of the major events is basically the what we call the totalitarian or authoritarian surge. We're seeing the surge of authoritarianism across the world. At least for the first time, even America is talking about authoritarianism within their own system. I mean, that's unheard of after the American Revolution and the French Revolution. Here, closer to home, we have Tanzania, a country that has been a refuge to many of our elite here in Kenya. Ask Raila Odinga where he got his passport to go to East Germany. Ask William Mutunga where he went to school. Ask Makawa Mutwa how he escaped to Kenya, and so on and so forth. So Tanzania is very dear to us as a symbol of freedom. We knew it was authoritarian, but it was the authoritarianism of the other side, where we have authoritarianism with some prosperity and with some freedom. It's a very unique kind of one-party system.
The Ukora.
Yes, so that's it. Now, coming closer home, I think we need to really talk about resistance to the creeping in of authoritarianism. The two Gen Z events this year. One, revolt against the killing of our brother from Ruland, from Goli. The second one
Albert
is
Ojwang.
Yeah, Albert Ojwang, and the other one from Homa Bay. Then the other one is basically the, the
mask vendor.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we have had our issue here internationally. For the first time, we faced off with the US.
Yeah.
And over ideology, literally. Why did we go to China? Why did we say what we said in China? And so on. And many were expecting that we're going to be stripped up, off of that, honor or status, that we are now a non-NATO ally, which I think was a goof, because Kenya is not a military state.
Yep.
We are simply a soft power nation. And as a soft power nation, we do our business with every power, guided by our interests. So that was very clear. But of course, something that we are not noticing, particularly those who are in the opposition, is how President William Ruto is turning the tide. He's turning the tide in a very, very subtle way. And I keep on saying this. President William Ruto is not your usual politician.
True.
Don't take him for granted at all. If you're really ready to fight him, just go on. It's like you're fighting a master kung fu.
Yes.
Just go to your gyms and do your gyms for 6 months. Yeah. Don't show up. You're going to have your jaw broken. This is a man. Okay. Yeah, this is a man who
the politics of Wareng County.
Yeah. No, not Wareng. This is somebody who can sell his way from chicken to president.
It's not a joke.
There are many chicken sellers in this country, but they have not sold their chicken.
Eyes to an escape.
So we're going to talk about it, but the key achievement and why he's turning the tide is this. He noticed that his Hasra nation promise is not working.
No, yes. Then he turned to Singapore.
He has to, even long before Singapore. He turned the tide, and he became the Nixon who visits China. Yeah. He go to China and come with the largest group. Kenya is getting a lion's share of the 2024 Beijing Action Plan budget, which is $50.7 billion. And out of that 50.7, Kenya is getting a railway, Kenya is getting 2 highways, Kenya is getting a bridge, and many other things that are coming up. Now, with that, come 2027, if we accomplish that, he will have performed way better in terms of infrastructure than Kibaki.
Yeah. Yes, Dr. Can we take a break, come back and
okay.
Thanks. And Prof, by the way, when Nixon landed in Beijing, he forgot a note in Air Force One where he said, the aide picked it up and then it's now in the museum. Yeah. And he never believed in the Taiwan policy. He said, I believe in the one China policy.
One China policy.
That he forgot his presidential chair at the Air Force
He was a brilliant guy.
So when we get back, in that regard, Daktari, also the resistance which also birthed the human catastrophe, the documentation of the deaths by the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights and the Independent Medical Legal Unit. Plus, of course, in the region, Museveni had a message for the Gen Zs. He spoke in Baganda, but we'll just contextualize that. Also, Donald Trump, the kickstarter of negotiations and talk, but the poorer in seeing them to conclusion. The Democratic Republic of Congo is just but an example. All that is after the break here on the broadcast.